Everyone, and thanks for joining us for this amazing LinkedIn with my dear friend Alex to talk about the current state of online product merchandising, which all of us are thinking right now as we are in the throes of the Black Friday shopping week. So, Alex, what are you seeing right now in terms of what's changing and what are clients asking for?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Deb, for the invitation. So from our standpoint, we see that that consumers are expectations in terms of visual experiences on all the channels are just increasing. They're just craving for more complete, consistent, immersive, and if possible, customized visual to be comfortable and inspired first and then comfortable to make a purchase online. And we're seeing that through like all of the customers, whether in retail, whether in the US or in Europe. This is the big tendency today that we see.
And as we look at, let's call it, right, we're in the throes of holiday 23. What's different this year than a year ago in terms of how, your customers are thinking about product visuals? What are the top challenges year over year?
So it's a great question, and I think there are two different things here. The first thing is the macroeconomic environment, for the retailers is tough, meaning that inflation has reduced the purchasing power of their customers, of consumers. So consumers today have just less to spend aside from what is necessary, food, and so the first thing is they're all fighting for a smaller piece of the cake when it comes for like cosmetics, even hygiene, even of course home, and therefore they need to really make a difference. That's the first thing. The second thing is alongside that, they're investing more and more into providing a better shopper experience in order to get more online sales through visual experience for their shopper.
And can you talk a little bit about, right, if we go back to yesteryear, right? I remember being with clients at photo shoots and I mean, hours and hours. I mean, they're fascinating, right, in terms of how creatives bring products to life. What's kind of happened to that traditional photo shoot? And as they're moving into more CGIs, et cetera, what kind of cost savings are they seeing?
Yeah, I think there are two steps in the journey. So the first step is they were all relying on suppliers funded visuals. So they were just gathering visuals, from their suppliers, their vendors, and putting it online. They realized that, they needed to make a difference. They needed to have differentiation for their brand and then consistency across, all their product lines. So then, they started to move more and more to product photographies to create that like visual merchandising experience that, either consumer wants and that made a difference on their channels. But then they had a problem. It was like scale, expense, logistics, time to market. Powering a photo shoot is amazing, but is extraordinarily difficult to scale and extraordinarily expensive. So from that, they've started to shift to technology, and among these technology, they've started like 26% of all the retailers we work with and have have invested in computer generated imagery to replace photo shoot to try to provide that complete, consistent, and immersive experience at scale for all their products. And now we know that 68% are intending to invest more in that technology solution to create the merchandising experience consumers require in 2024.
I have to say, right, the numbers still seem, and once again, right, when we were, kind of doing more in Asia, right, which I would say is probably a good 6 to 8 years ahead of, let's call it Europe and the US, right? We were using 16 PDPs, right, embedded video, right? There was this expectation. The numbers you just mentioned, they still seem very low in terms of penetration. Why are we still so much at the infancy kind of here in the West?
Yeah, I mean, to your point, in Asia, they have a much more immersive and complete PDP, which translate directly in lower rate of returns. In the West, in whether Western Europe or in the US, we are really at the beginning of the journey. And from our understanding, it's So first of all, the problem is status quo. Is it's difficult to change what you always have done. So the main reason is, hey, market's tough. You need to save money, and CGI can save up to 75% of your photo shoot. So that's one. Then you need to make a bigger difference to increase your sales. So you need to create more images. You don't have any other solution than technology, which is computer generated images, which is a mix of 3D and AI. But still, there is like a kind of a misconception that 3D CGI is either low quality, complex to use because you need to have the physical product to be scanned, and that you can have like brand discrepancy with the results. But this is moving slowly, but this I think was the biggest barrier for a higher and faster penetration of technology when it comes to visual merchandising.
Interesting. The bringing up returns, which is something I think a lot about. I sit on the sustainability company for I'm on the sustainability kind of committee for a public company. So it's something I think about a lot. And once again, going back to Asia, we see returns at about 9% versus in the West, we're in the high 30s. Apparel, footwear, accessories, obviously discretionary. I mean, those are huge differences. I mean, those numbers alone would probably pay for this. I mean, you probably have a payback period at the top, but that could happen literally in one season, right? When you think about those numbers. So is it more that, going back to it's like status quo? Is it that, these organizations don't have the right structure to kind of bring this in? What's been the kind of challenge to get folks to the other side, if you will?
It's a multi-layer issue, I believe. So yes, the status quo. The second thing is it's very siloed in terms of these big retailers. So like you have someone responsible of the photo shoot, someone responsible of the media, someone responsible of the product detail page, someone responsible of the catalog of visual coming from the supplier. So it's very dispersed. And everyone has its own roadmap, its own priorities. And you need to go very high up the chain to make the case that, hey, guys, if you improve your product detail page visual experience, you're gonna have a massive impact in like more traffic, more engagement, more conversion rate, and a much lower rate of return. So that I think is the second issue. The third issue is like I believe that it's no one really envision a solution that exists that can tackle that issue. And I think us technology company, we have not done maybe a great work in product marketing to show it's possible at a scale that it's really like you're creating a new category in terms of product that is a real disruption, and it takes time and a lot of product marketing to get infused into the leader's mind.
That's really helpful. And then I think that the kind of CPG is a newer area for you. Something you just said, I mean, I think about it more in apparel, right? Like you've got wholesale and retail. So you could theoretically utilize those images, kind of across both. How do you think about CPG and how do they think about it?
So for us, it's really a matter of like again, time to market. So CPG, if you think about the market for us, the early adopters is what we in Europe call the commerce of the heart. So where you need to be inspired to make a purchase, luxury, apparel, home interior, home design. So this is more obvious. When it comes to CPG, it's more what we call a necessity, like purchase. You're buying it, and so it's coming also massively through the retailers. So the retailers have, because they had success in some product category, they're expanding this complete immersive product detail page experience through through other segments, among which one of their top earning category is CPG. And from that, what's happening in their retailers are directly going to ask the brands and the suppliers to provide them with what they call, a product merchandising package to fuel their channel to make a brand differentiation. Like, for example, if you're on Target, you're going to have a different package than if you're on Walmart. So this is how, it's creating a network effect between the retailers, like, learning from other categories and deploying it, and then pushing it through their suppliers and brands.
And if we think about, I mean, these days when I hear CPG, I think about
so angry.
retail media networks.
Sure.
In terms of thinking about, how that kind of all comes together, what is the impact of having those better visuals as we think about retail media networks?
The high waisted is in now.
And so what we see is that it's a very virtuous circle. So what happens is that for retailers, the retailers build their catalog of products for us in 3D, that then they can fuel all their channel. By doing that, they enable basically unlimited visual digital shelf that then they can sell to the suppliers and the brands to better merchandise their product on retail media. So basically they have three profit wins. The first of all, they're going to save costs on existing budgets. Second of all, they're going to improve sales on their own channels, whether 1P or 3P, with better, more differentiated, more immersive, shopper experience. And then they're going to increase their catalog of, the digital shelf space to sell to the brands and suppliers above, to create, a bit much bigger market for retail media.
So as we kind of go into the final throes of the holiday season, where we're all going to be exposed to a lot more images than we have probably all year, what should we be thinking about? What should practitioners be thinking about? And what are you thinking about?
Again, it's a great question. So to your point, consumers are exposed to tons of different, what we call solicitation, on all their media, TV, online, email, app, all social media all the time. So you really need to make a difference. And as I often say, one of the leader in e-commerce says they're not competing with other retailers, they're competing with Netflix for consumers' online bandwidth. And in order to do that, I would invite retailers to double down their investment in visual merchandising to create, again, a brand differentiated experience, and to create like novelty. Again, L'Oreal was saying, that before COVID, visuals could last, a season. Now, when they push it on social media, it is consumed, it perishes in 24 hours. So that means that if you want to maintain attraction to your brand, or you need to create just more content, more novelty, more update, and of course, at the end, more customization.
And I'm sorry, we have to squeak in one more, because how does AI impact all this?
So, dramatically, I'm a real AI believer. AI is becoming, through this amazing Gen AI technology, a commodity that supercharges what you were doing in every side of the business. From our standpoint, when it comes to visual experiences, AI is really embedded in visual creation. How can you supercharge the visual creation by fusioning AI and 3D and CGI to create better brand experiences, more diverse brand experiences? That's the first thing. Then AI enables you to analyze what's performing, what's not performing, and then in real time customize the visual to be sure that you can show the best visual at the best time to the cohort, in order to increase the likelihood of a purchase. And then the last thing is unreached customization, because AI can create so many kinds of visual combination. When it matched with 3D, you can reach a level of visual customization to the shopper, whether online, on site, or even in remarketing, that will yield amazing brand differentiation and I believe sales action at the end.
I couldn't have said it better. Everyone, you heard it here first. Alex from Infinite